I really hope Nubian News. This music is by Nubian News, Fallen Angels. And I hope she doesn't mind that I'm playing her music. I think she's a phenomenal artist. And I love a lot of her music. But this is what I woke up to this morning. So hold on. Okay. We're not gonna, risk a copyright situation. But the words, they just blow my mind. They just blow my mind.
They say that if you love someone, you should let them go. And if they're yours, they'll come back to you. But
Exactly.
What if I told you, true love gives wings, and there's power in this knowing, and the only power.
Okay. So that was a perfect time to shut it down. Okay? If you truly love somebody, you should let them go. True enough. So, here was the thing that I just cannot, all of these people and these weird, situationships, causing all of this confusion, and really, hurting people because of the confusion. On one hand, we tell them, oh, well, you guys weren't married, so why do you worry about, if they leave, you're able to get up and leave whenever you want to, right? But then you got these other people who are like, oh no, you can't leave even if we're not married. And I'm like, well, why not? It wasn't that the whole purpose of not getting married, just in case, it doesn't work out? Isn't that why we didn't get married? Right? Isn't that why we didn't get married? We didn't get married. And I know you could say, oh no, it's because we didn't want the white man's paper. Well, that white man's paperwork would have allowed, at least some kind of Social Security benefits, some medical benefits, after 10 years of marriage. That's something that you didn't want to give to whoever it was that you were with, right? So I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I was in an estranged marriage for like 20 years because, he would not give me a divorce. He was like, well, I don't believe in divorce, right? So I don't know, what he did, with his life because, he pretty much abandoned me and our child. Okay? So it took about 20 years for me to be able to afford the divorce, right? By then, the child was almost grown, and yeah, it is what it was. And so this was one of the things that I was thinking about. I'm like, okay, I've been working hard, right? Been working hard all my life. I've been working hard, right? Wish I could have had it easy, but it is what it is. Okay? So, oh wow. I guess they anticipate there's going to be more car sales the way that they're stockpiling on the vehicles over there. Okay, so here we go, right? My thought process is like, okay, I was older than him by, a year and some months. And I'm wondering about, this whole Social Security thing, right? He took the liberal arts way, pretty much, the last I knew. And I took, the business way, right? Business and tech. And I took early retirement, right? I lost $1,000 a month because I had to take early retirement. My health situation was truly taxing me. So I took early retirement. So here's the thing, right? Because he didn't want to divorce me, okay, and we have a way, the system has some type of way of, like sharing benefits for people that has been married over 10 years, okay? So I'm like, well, am I going to get more money for taking out, an early retirement, and then when he achieves, his age of benefits, will his benefits kick in, and then when he, files for his Social Security benefits, will that make my benefits go down? Or did they put that aside for him? And if they put that aside for him, what happens, if he, had, expired at some point? I don't even know if this dude is alive. I really don't. But these were all of the questions that, even though I might have scanned through the Social Security situation webpage, questions and answers, right? Then I started wondering, I'm like, okay, well, what if he had assumed that I had already gotten a divorce and had, married another person? Right? Because, he might, I would assume that because I had asked him over and over and over for a divorce. And, I think, it would be logical, rational to assume that if a person is asking for a divorce over and over and over, and the relationship is severed, that, that person would probably eventually, get a divorce. Because I had even notified this person that, he's reluctant, to sign the divorce papers, made the divorce, problematic because of, there's a child involved, and more expensive, and I told him, I said that was money that I did not, I could not spare. Okay? So yeah, that was, something that, I had, been wondering about, because a lot of women, are going to be faced, with these type of decisions, right? The decision, to be with a guy and not be in a marriage and yet treat it as if you are in a marriage, but because you're not in a marriage, you could be caught off guard with somebody who will tell you, well, look, we're not married, we can leave at any time. Or, well, because we're not married, I don't feel like I have to give you support, 100% support. Not even a 50-50 support system, okay? And this is one of the things that women are arguing about. They're like, well, wait a minute, we understand that, things don't work out, but, and they make it hard for people to get divorces. Therefore, you don't want to get married, but then you put me in a relationship that appears to be conventionally casual. It appears to be conventionally casual, right? Supposedly, assets are separate, but because, if two people are living together, your assets aren't separate, right? Because here, realistically, if you are a couple and your partner, gets sick or dies, yeah, you're gonna feel like that's your responsibility. You're gonna feel compelled, right? You're gonna feel compelled to want to make sure that this person has some proper burial, or proper medical attention. You're gonna feel compelled for these, for these things. A lot of people, before the computer systems were so integral, they would, basically, say that they're married and then have somebody, seen under somebody else's medical benefits. Yeah, they used to do that stuff. Because somebody that you care about, even if you're not married to them, you have, you're invested, if nothing else, emotionally and probably financially. So, in my opinion, even if you're not married, you should still have some type of business partnership. That's how I truly feel. Because a business partnership, that will delineate, what would happen to the business. And what's the business? The business is your partnership. Marriage is a contract. It is a business contract, right? And even if you go into, say, a non-spiritual contract. But, well, see, that's kind of confusing right there, because people who get together and don't get married, they still feel like they're in a spiritual contract. However, the people who get married, they feel like they are in a spiritual contract. You understand? So those who feel like they're in a spiritual contract and those who are in a spiritual contract. So there you have it, right? So it's like every single day, I keep hearing how these people are like, treating relationships, their um, spiritual relationship, the same way that they would a spiritual marriage. And like I said, this needs to be clarified, right? Because if it's not clarified, then we have both males and females who are in undetermined type of relationships with men with absolutely no stability, no rights, no nothing. Okay? So this makes for a lot of bitterness and jealousy, and people who will sell their soul and try to try to get back at anybody trying to take their person that won't commit to them. Now I'm old school, right? I'm old school. My thing is that if it's not the conventional, I'm not even going to say traditional, but if it's not the conventional way of the super tribe, then I'm under the understanding it's whatever you can get away with at that point. That's just I just keep it simple like that. I'm not gonna sit up here and just take the word of somebody while they might be in wanderlust, because let me tell you something, when divorces happen, people don't even know there's that thin line between love and hate, and you never would have thought that you would be so angry at someone for not wanting to be with you, or not able to be with you, or maybe in your eyesight not trying to work it out. Because that's what they always told me. They always said, you're not trying hard enough. And I'm like, I've already tried and I'm done, and that was something that they didn't understand, because I didn't have hatred for them. So because I didn't have hatred for them, they had assumed that I could always, try harder. And it was like, nope, I can't. And they couldn't understand that. But for me, it's always been sort of a calculation, right? It's always been, even everything I do, I'm like, oh, okay, I think I can do this, right? And then I give myself like a certain margin of which I feel I can stretch myself, win or lose. That's it. And that's how I pretty much function. I try to, I go for the A, but, if I don't achieve a B, then, I'll move on to something else. I'll leave with the C grade, but I'm not going to say, oh, I'm a C grade person and I'm going to keep trying until I get that A. No, I'm not. I'm going to say that's not my forte. This situationship is not my forte. Okay? So, I'm speaking in terms of, trying my best to help people understand what what is the problem and what is being debated here in relationships? And that's what's being debated in these relationships. My answer is to, if you get into a relationship, at least get into a business partnership. Have a business contract. It doesn't have to be a marriage contract, but let it be a business. That way, people know what the hell is going on. Now, if you're with somebody that's not willing to even give you a business partnership, then, you're a contract worker. Basically, you're on contract. You're only useful for this moment in time. Sometimes one or two contract workers they get put on full time, right? But let's face it, not everybody that gets, that does contract work gets hired, as a full-time worker with benefits. Okay? And that goes back to what I'm talking about, If we are all energy, if we each and every single one of us is energy, and we bring something to the table, if nothing else, our energy. Okay? Energy is currency. And currency has value. And it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about that, because if they're trying to tell you that you have no worth, then you need to move around. You need to move around. You cannot prove to somebody that you have worth if they have no value for you. And you definitely cannot prove your worth to somebody that doesn't even, hold themselves in regard of having value and worth. And a lot of you are doing that, And let's keep it real. You could say, okay, well, they have a certain amount of worth, but let's keep it real. What is worth? Worth is, first of all, being a viable person, being able to take care of oneself, being able to, sustain our personal hygiene, our personal health, our personal aesthetics, and a goal to sustain, a momentum of progress, so that we can reach the finish line of whatever it is that we're headed towards, before we die. Okay? So that's value, right? And let's just keep it real. A lot of these men are like, no, you don't bring value. And it's like, yes. As a woman, because we're the battery, right? We're the magnetized battery. We're able to absorb the energy, contain the energy, allocate energies, it becomes energies when we're actually allocating energy to our man and to our spouse, to our children, whereas the man is a radiant energy, right? So when we, over generalize those words positive and negative, and we're using our bias definitions, yes, we had a tendency to think, oh, you're a negative energy. It's like, no, they're negative. They're negative. However, when the energy gets, brought in and then transmuted and put out, then if they're putting out energy, how can you say that a woman is a negative energy? I'll wait. I want to know. Right? What do we put out? Whatever it is we put out, it is something that men need to connect with. Otherwise, they feel like they start losing energy and their zest for life. Period. And when we put out more children into the world, okay, yes, we can kind of disconnect in a way, where it may appear as if, we are totally disconnected. Now, this goes to what I was, listening to when I was listening to a video about the Kabbalah, right? And I know for a fact that every time before I had gotten pregnant, there was a spirit, I don't know if they were in purgatory or, wherever they called the pool of souls that was calling down to me, hey, hey you, I want to come down here I want to come in, tag me in, and honestly, I'll be honest, my first, there were several times, I was, told that, by a soul that they wanted to come in and really felt like, no, after, blending our energies together, that this was not, a particular soul that I wanted to bring into this world, and that it was foreseen by me to be problematic, right? We don't want to bring in a soul, where we're going to have problems with them to the point where we done went through all of this effort and now, we want to take them out. We at least want, a soul, if we bring them into this world, they can have some animosity towards us, mad that, they didn't realize that the world was this way and that way, didn't realize that, I wasn't going to be able to provide, the environment in which they could thrive, okay, however, you got tools, you should be able to, create the life that you wanted. However, in the Kabbalah, right, the Kabbalah talks about already having pre-assigned challenges, and I was like, oh, wow, pre-assigned challenges, and that there were also even, other souls that are tied into your soul, to help these challenges occur, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so, you're telling us this, so that we don't have to, sweat the small stuff, when it comes to our challenges. Okay? They also spoke about free will, how, we have free will, and the free will is, apart, separate from, the contractual challenges. Okay? And I was like, okay, that sounds logical. It sounds logical enough, and so I'm like, okay, cool. That's one way, to accept, how we get here in life. There's just not enough information about the contracts. And there's definitely a lot of supposition when it comes to, the afterlife. So, yeah. I thought it was very interesting, and a lot of that resonated as true. And surely, even if it didn't resonate as true, there was no way that, I could actually say, no, it's, I couldn't disprove it. And so then I started going to, when I started going to, like, the 12 tribes, and why the tribes were different, and why it was 12 different tribes. Okay? So, part of that is because you have some people who have been raised in different environments. And because they are raised in different environments, they have different nutritional needs. Your environment will definitely, prescribe your dietary needs. For sure. For sure. Right? And the environment also dictates our features, right? Whether you need to have, more melanin, whether, you need your hair on your body or off of your body. It has to do with, the natural selection. And the natural selection has to do with, what's needed, to enrich, your sustenance, what you need to sustain yourself. So, I can only say that, that relationship should, be at this time, a business contract, even if it's not a marriage contract, because so many people cannot do a long-term contract. If they cannot do a long-term contract, then the alternative is to be incorporated as a business, probably what they would deem as a partnership business. You don't want to be in, a corporation type of relationship where you have too many energies, blending together, and everybody's jousting, you know, for a win, whatever a win means to them. Okay? So, I'm still sick. I've been, trying to eat healthy. Yesterday, I ate a can of wedding soup. I did my protein shake. I had my protein Pop-Tart. I have one of those for one of my snacks today. I have my protein bars. Did I eat one yesterday? Yeah, I did. I ate one protein bar yesterday. The s'mores. Today, I decided to have 2 protein drinks because trying to operate off of 200 calories, even with the protein, at this juncture, right? What is this juncture? This juncture is the fact that, I've lost an average of 10 pounds the last 5 months. Okay? And like I said, this whole month, first I had said 2 weeks. Then because I got sick, I'm like, no, let's make it a whole month where it's more of a maintenance situation, right? Because I'm going to have to try to find out, where I feel comfortable, right? I still have approximately 30 to 40 pounds to lose, right? And that will make me probably like a size medium. And if I exercise a lot, then it would make me a borderline small. But I'm too tall, really, to be a small. Like I said, shoulder to shoulder, I measure 16 inches. So to be a small with that kind of shoulders, I will come across, very masculine. Thank God, I don't have that much of a masculine face. However, it's problematic when we have so many gays and trans, that because of my large back, that if I'm a small, you know, I I get questioned as to whether I'm a man. Like, are you a man? You know, I've had that asked several times, when I was a size small, right? When I was that size 0 and that size 6, you know, they were like, "Are you a man?" And I would look at them like, "What do you mean?" But I was not aware, of what was going on outside of myself the in the world, where there were a lot of gays. There were the move for transgender. I had no idea. I had no idea, you know. And plus, you know, I'm not always feminine, right? I'm like feminine masculine, you know, like I'm a I'm a masculine feminine, right? I was looking at my birth chart, and it had gave me my signature, right? And I'm like, my signature, right? And I was like, oh, my signature is a Leo. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's understandable. Got a stellium in Leo, so yeah, I would come across, it's with the signature Leo, you know. However, I am dominated by Saturn. Saturn dominates my whole chart, you know. So I'm like one of those hard working ass Leos, However, in my ego, right? I'm a Gemini Taurus, right? What's a Gemini Taurus? A Gemini Taurus would be like the King of Swords and the music magician, right? I got to throw that in there because my Mercury happens to be in its home of Gemini. So I am a magician, right? Like, wow. You know, so I'm just talking about my own power, to try to encourage people to really, assess their chart, their planetary placements, along with, you know, the houses. You have to understand that just because, you have certain placements, but if that placement is in a particular house, then you have to understand that, you know, you're working with, uh, a union of energies, right? That's why when I look at people and they're like, hey, um, I'm a I'm a fourth house Scorpio, right? This is just an example. So somebody that is a fourth house Scorpio, this is somebody that has deep rooted feelings in the fourth house, which is the house of the home. And even though that's where their sun is, what that means is this is how they see themselves to the world. Because the sun is your ego, is how you see yourself. You know, it's how you go about, you know, getting what you want. What you want, right? So, I'm going to end this video here. You know, I hope, you know, you get something out of it. I always think my videos are informative. You know, maybe one day I will get the views and stuff that I deserve, right? But I understand. I totally understand that, you know, I've been censored by my ops, right? Who don't want me to be able to speak what I know. Because I'm not going to hold it. I'm not going to hold it in. I'm going to release it to everybody. And I don't care if I get paid for it or not. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're waiting until, you know, they got as much money out of this, you know, enlightenment. Because, you know, like I said, you know, our society is a capitalist society. And, you know, they hate to just give a full broad opening. Instead, they like to capitalize off of it initially, you know, get whatever money they can before the grand opening. And then after the grand opening, then, you know, whoever else follows, you know, they might be able to get the crumbs, right? And that's what they do even in business, you know. Like, here's an example. Like when internet first came out, it was as expensive as hell, right? It was expensive. It was considered a luxury, right? And then after, you know, the grand opening, and they was like, well, you know, we're going to have to, you know, keep our profit margin moving upward. You know, we need more people. We're going to have to reduce the price. That way we can get more people on board, you know, and they'll keep reducing the price, you know, to keep, you know, that margin, you know, that profit margin pivoting upward as much as possible, even if they have to, you know, go for quantity instead of quality. Okay? Which, you know, listen, I'm just a messenger. Okay? It's not they're not playing by my rules. They're playing by their rules. I'm just describing their rules in a way that they don't describe it. They will describe it completely different, and they will romanticize it. Okay? Or they may make it so complicated when they're describing that you don't understand. Okay? So, yeah, there you have it. Now I'm really done. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.